Okay, so now when you say about cells, when I say that they are tiny, I mean that they are so minuscule. Okay, so minuscule that if I make a dot like this, okay, I have made a dot here, right? On a dot this small, you would be able to see that there are more than 1,000 cells. Okay, that's how small a single cell is going to be. Imagine this thing cut into 1,000 pieces. Then that one piece would be equivalent to a single cell. Okay, but irrespective of its size and how it is going to be arranged into your body, every single cell is going to have its own system. It is going to have its own you can say functional attributes that are going to make it very 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 important for our body. Okay, and each of these cells is going to look somewhat like this. Okay, now we are going to make a very general figure right now. So each cell is going to look something like this, okay, with a very dark structure in its center, and then a few other things surrounding this, which we can also call as certain things in its periphery. Okay, you must have heard this word in your English, and you may have also heard this word in your geometry algebra. Okay, so periphery is something which is surrounding an important part. Okay, now this is a general appearance of your cell. All of the cells of your body are going to have certain different functions to carry out, and they are going to be making up the structures of your body. So right now, if you look at my palm here, okay, it's a bit sweaty. Okay, if you look at my palm here right now, you can see that it has a particular kind of a structure. Not only my palm, anyone's palm. You see, you look at your own palm right now, and you would see that it has a specific kind of structure. This structure is entirely made up of some types of cells. Okay, now as opposed to this, if you look at your tongue like this, you would see that it has an entirely different structure, irrespective of whether it looks fleshy, whether it looks wet, whether it looks very very hard. Okay, your body is still going to be made up of cells, which means that along with being able to carry out different functions, okay, your body is also structurally made out of cells. Right now, when I say carrying out different functions, tell me, does the cell of or does the surface of your hand feel exactly similar to the structure or the surface of your tongue? Do they feel different or are they the same? Yes, anyone thinks that their hand and palm are literally the same things? Kids, do you think your hand and palm, your hand and tongue are same? Is there
No,
anyone who
ma'am.
thinks that?
No,
No,
ma'am.
right? Your hand and your tongue are definitely different from one another. This is because all of your cells of your body are going to be doing a different thing. Okay, they are going to carry out different functions, and because of that, they're also going to appear a little different. But irrespective of what they are doing, okay, irrespective of their functions, entire body is going to be made up of cells. And this is the reason why we call our cells, okay, as the units fundamental unit of the body, because that is one thing that you are all made up of, be it animals, be it humans, be it plants. All of us are going to be made up of these. And when I say fundamental, I would like to add two more words over here. They are very very important for the structure and function of the body. Okay, so cells are the structural and functional fundamental units of the body. Okay, this is understood. This is what your cells are. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take all of this understanding about the cells. Okay, we're going to put it in one corner right now. Okay, this is all the basics that you need to know about your cells. Okay, now leaving this aside, let's look at one individual cell right now. So I have this one cell over here. Okay, in order for me to call this one cell, it needs to have a certain boundary, right? When I say this is my one finger, you can see that there is a certain boundary that makes a kind of a boundary, okay, or it makes like a difference from the entire air and my finger and the contents of my finger. Right now, if I say this is my cheek, okay, so there's something separating my cheek and my finger from each other. So every structure needs a sort of a boundary. Similar to that, every single cell, no matter how tiny, is going to have its own boundary. Okay, this boundary is very, very flexible. It can be squished like a marshmallow, okay, and it is going to be very, very soft, but at the same time, it is also very, very strong. Okay, so now remember, I'm saying it is soft, it is strong. Now I'm going to say something ahead of this, which is again going to sound like it makes no sense. How can something be soft, still strong, and still allow entry and exit of many things? Okay, are you understanding what I'm saying? I'm saying that this boundary of the cell, okay, is very, very soft, is very, very strong, and it still allows entry and exit of certain things or multiple things. This structure altogether, okay, so I'm going to make a box for this particular part, and I'm going to say that this particular thing is called as cell. It looks like eel, so I'm just going to write it again. This is called as cell membrane. This makes sense? If I ever pointed out this structure again to you, would you be able to identify this as cell membrane? Is there anyone who would forget this part?
No, ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am.
So this external boundary of a normal cell is called as cell membrane. Okay, now this is something that you have to remember. But if you look at the cells of the plants, okay, now since plants cannot protect themselves by fighting or by learning taekwondo or by just taking out a gun and hitting people, plants needed an extra sort of protection, and in order for the plants to have that, nature has provided them with an external boundary, okay, which is there in all of the cells. No doubt there. Okay, all of the cells are going to have an external boundary, but your plant cell have another additional boundary which is going to be very, very rigid. Okay, so I'm going to say that this boundary is rigid, and a new word we are going to use, it is impermeable. Okay, now when I say impermeable, I'm going to write this entire word. This is exactly opposite of this word or this sentence that we wrote. What did we say? It allows entry and exit of many things. This entire term or this entire statement can be written with one singular keyword, that is, it is permeable. Okay, which means it allows an entry and exit of multiple things. So when I say impermeable, it means exactly opposite of that. It means that this particular boundary is going to be rigid and does not allow entry and exit of certain things or many things from the cell to the outside or from the outside to the interior of the cell. Okay, this particular structure that we are talking about, which is an addition to the cell membrane, is called as cell wall. And the cell wall is very, very specifically present only in your plants. Okay, none of the other structures in the nature are going to have a cell wall. Is this making sense? So your animal cells are going to have just a cell membrane. Plants, in addition to a cell membrane, are also going to have a cell wall. Okay, this is a concept that you have to remember in order to differentiate your plants and animals. Okay, now along with this, okay, along with this cell membrane, your animal cells or any of the cells that do not belong to the plants, okay, are going to have a nucleus in the center. Okay, the key terms in this particular sentence are: there is a nucleus present in the center. Nucleus, present, center. Three words that you have to remember. Now, this nucleus is like a house for all of the genetic material of your cell. Okay, genetic material is something that determines how your cell is going to look and what functions your cell is going to carry out. This particular structure is called as nucleus. All of the cells are going to have a nucleus except your red blood cells. Okay, the cells that make up your blood and give it red color are the cells that do not have a nucleus. Rest of the cells in your body are going to have a nucleus. Okay, I need you to note this down in your notebook. Even your plant cells, okay, are going to have a nucleus. So let's just take a nucleus and put it here. Can you tell me what is the difference between the nucleus of an animal cell and a plant cell by just looking at what I did over here? Do you see any difference in these images?
I mean, the plant cell is not in the middle.
It's not in the middle, right? Because the central space of the plant cell is going to be occupied by something else. Okay, so in your animal cells, the nucleus is located at the center. Then the entire cell, okay, with the boundary and the nucleus in the middle is going to be full of a liquid. Okay, do you see that there's a liquid that I just added? It gave entire cell a different color. Okay, this liquid is called as cytoplasm. Okay, the word cyto, now onwards, whenever you hear it, you have to remember that the word cyto means cell. Okay, so anywhere that you hear the word cyto, C-Y-T-O, it means that you're referring to a cell. Plasma or plasm over here pertains to a kind of fluid or the liquid. So the fluid present in the cell is called as cytoplasm. Okay, what is this going to be called as? Cytoplasm. So I'm going to write plasm over here is for fluid. Okay, now your entire cell is having a boundary, and within that boundary enclosed is this jelly-like material. Okay, and in this jelly-like material, then you're going to have certain different small organs that are put in. But if you say the word organs, they pertain to structures like hands or nose or ears or mouth parts or your toenails, whatever. Those are all different organ systems or organs. Okay, but your cell, because it is very small, cannot possibly have organs. So we use a different word to talk about those structures, and we call them as organelles. Okay, organelles. Your nucleus is one of the most important organelle that the cell has, because nucleus sort of kind of works like the brain of the cell. Okay, can you tell me what do you think this must be doing then? If I say that this works like the brain of the cell, can you kind of imagine what this could be doing inside the body of a particular cell? Any particular function that it may be carrying out? Yes?
Ma'am, I think it might be controlling the operations happening in the cell.
Yes, so your nucleus is basically going to be like this control center. Okay, if you play the games, then like your keyboard or that particular kind of joystick that you use, which is going to control every movement of your avatar in that game, your nucleus is going to do the same thing over here. Okay, your nucleus is basically going to be the control center or the control panel for your cell. Okay, which is also why a nucleus is called as the brain of the cell. Like what our brain does for our body, nucleus does for the cell. Okay, then you have the cytoplasm, which is kind of like the air inside your cell, or like the structure in which all of the other organelles are going to be placed. Your nucleus is one of the most important organelle. Okay, now if you have a brain, okay, now look at this like a very complex puzzle at this point. Okay, you have a particular kind of city. Okay, within this city you have a very important kingdom, and in this kingdom there's a king. Okay, which means that when you look at the nucleus, you can think of the nucleus as a sort of a fort okay, which obviously has multiple gates over here at this point. Okay, and inside this, there is a structure in this castle or in this fort. There's a structure where the king and the queen are present. The king and the queen are something of not our interest right now. When you go to 10th standard, you would learn that these two things are your RNA and DNA. Okay, so that's the king and the queen that we're talking about right now. So I drew two structures inside. Now, apart from this, the entire kingdom is full of air. So all of this bluish fluid that I put in is like the air. Okay. Along with that, now a kingdom, in order to operate, needs a lot of other things. The first thing it needs is the transport system. So in your cell, there is a system that is responsible for transport of all of the things. Okay. So this system looks something like this. Okay. It has like, let's say these are its office premises. Okay, so it looks something like this. And what this structure or what these organelles come together and they do is they take the material from the outside. So right now, if I say that I have something present over here, okay, and this structure has an intention of entering inside the cell, meeting with the king, having a discussion, and going back as entirely different thing. If someone is to make this possible for these molecules to come in, do their work and go out, there is a transport system which is in place, and this transport system is called as Golgi apparatus. Okay, so I'm going to write over here, this is called as Golgi apparatus. The reason why it is given the name Golgi is because it was discovered. Okay. Yes, the organelles are discovered. You will not say invented. Okay. The word that you are going to say whenever you write about these is this structure or this organelle was discovered by a scientist who had his name as Golgi Camillo. Okay. Like the singer, but something a little different. Okay. So Golgi was the guy who found out about this particular organ system. And we know today that these Golgi apparatuses or Golgi bodies, what they do is they take the structures inside. Okay, now I'm going to go to a different app to show you this. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so now what you're going to have with you, okay, is a structure that looks like this. Give me 1 small second. Okay, so now let's say this is your cell membrane. Okay, if this is how your cell membrane is going to be, whenever something tries to come in. Okay, so here we are going to make a structure. Okay, this structure has an intention of moving inside your cell. So what is going to happen? This particular structure is going to come closer. Okay, then it is going to fuse with the membrane that you have like this. Okay, once it has fused with your membrane, it is going to try to make its way inside your cell. Okay, once it has made its way inside your cell, so just let me draw this part here. Okay, once this structure has gone inside your cell in this particular manner, now it is all the way inside your cell, it is going to meet with your Golgi apparatus this way. Okay, and this Golgi apparatus, what it is going to do is it is going to encapsule this particular material. Okay, what is encapsule meaning? Encapsule means that it is going to cover this material with something so that it can be transported easily. Okay, so now what happens is you have your Golgi apparatus this way with this structure coming out of it. Okay, just give me 1 second. It will make a lot of sense once I'm done with this particular thing. Okay, it makes a capsule around your material. Okay, and then this material is very, very easily transported to wherever it needs to go. Okay, so A substance is going to come in, it is going to fuse with your membrane. Once it has fused with your membrane, the Golgi apparatus is sort of going to cover it and then send it from one place to the other. Is this making sense? If you are ever asked what your Golgi apparatus does, would you be able to explain this to someone? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
You would? Are you sure these kind of questions would come in the exam and you would have to explain them? Okay, obviously not with so many diagrams, but you would have to explain them. So this is something that your Golgi apparatus does. Okay, so your Golgi apparatus is going to take in the material, it is going to coat it with substances and then transport it from one place to the other. Now there is another structure that looks oddly similar to your Golgi apparatus, but does a little bit more than what your Golgi apparatus does. So think of your Golgi apparatus like your own personal transport system. But think of this other structure, which is called as an endoplasmic reticulum. I'm going to write it, do not worry. Endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Again, it has the word plasma, which means it has to do something with the fluid. But fluid where? Endo. Endo means inside. Okay. So this is something which is present inside the plasma. But what is that? It is a reticulum. The word reticulum means web-like structure or something that is spread with a lot of connections. Okay, I can say that my fingers, when they come together like this, they make a reticulum. Okay, right now they're intertwined with each other. That is called as reticulum. This is a system which is having multifaceted functions. Okay, and this is something which is doing functions similar to your Golgi apparatus, but a little bit of more addition. Think of your endoplasmic reticulum as airplanes, okay, where you're not only going from one place to the other, they also serve you food on the flight, right? If you go by your own car, there's a very odd chance that your parents are going to be like, oh, acha gaadi chal rahi hai, abhi beech pe kuch kha lete hain, chalo gaadi ke andar kuch kha lete. Your parents don't usually allow that, right? They're going to be like, you're going to just mess up my car and you're going to be like doing this and that and so many other things. But on the plane, they're like complimentary food given to you. So your endoplasmic reticulum is something like that. Okay, endoplasmic reticulum is basically going to be a system of transport, but whenever a particular system is being transported, whenever a particular molecule is being transported from one place to the other, okay, your endoplasmic reticulum, with the help of a structure which looks like small dots, is going to add little bit more proteins into it. Okay, so endoplasmic reticulum, if it is connected to these small dots which are called as ribosomes, okay, these ribosomes, if they are connected with your endoplasmic reticulum, they help in addition of proteins to the structure that are moving in and out of your cell. This is making sense? Are you all following this part? Anyone who is not understanding, there's no shame in saying that I did not understand. We can just go over the entire part again. Did you understand what endoplasmic reticulum is doing?
Ma'am, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
repeat the last part again?
Yes. So you have this structure which looks somewhat oddly similar to Golgi apparatus. Okay, it's just that it is all intertwined, like your Golgis are all separate, right? 1, 2, 3. You can see them as separate units. This is not separate. You can see this one and this one is intertwined. Okay, while they are mixed together, they do the similar function. That is, they take material from this side to the other side, the same thing that we just saw in an animation. Okay, but while they are doing that, what they do is they add a little bit of their own material. What is their own material? They add proteins to those structures. Okay, if your endoplasmic reticulum is associated with these tiny balls which are called as ribosomes, they're going to add those proteins into it. And because the surface of this particular endoplasmic reticulum, okay, I'm just going to make this a little smaller, because the surface of this endoplasmic reticulum now, okay, if you look at it this way, It was going smooth and then a bump, smooth, then a bump, then smooth, 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 and then maybe there was another bump, another bump, another bump. It is not very, very smooth, right? It seems like it has a lot of bumpy rides on its way, like this. Because of this, an endoplasmic reticulum that is associated with ribosomes is called as rough endoplasmic reticulum, or RER. Okay, if it is associated with ribosomes, we will call it as RER. If it is not associated with ribosomes, okay, then we call it as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And I think it's just self-explanatory why smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Anyone who did not get why we call this as smooth endoplasmic reticulum? All understood? If it is not associated with the ribosomes, its external surface is not bumpy. Not bumpy equals smooth. That is why smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Both of these structures, smooth endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi, are going to take in substances and move them from one side to the other. Rough endoplasmic reticulum is also going to do the same, but add some amount of proteins when they do this. Okay, so now we have a kingdom, we have a king and a queen. We have substances trying to come from the outside, go inside, and a system that transports them, right? This is all happening very well. Is there anyone who has any difficulty in understanding this part of the kingdom?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So now we go ahead and we look at the other systems of your kingdom. Okay. Now, along with having a Golgi apparatus and along with having the nucleus and a rough endoplasmic reticulum, all of these things are then accompanied by soldiers who can protect this city. Okay. So there are going to be these very, very tiny structures that look like the sacks that your Golgi apparatus was making, right? You remember when I made that particular picture, I made it into a sack and I told you that it is going to encapsulate your material. There seem to be already some sacks like that present inside your cell. And what they do is they defend your cell against any kinds of attacks that might happen. But they have a very weird way of defending your cell. Okay, they are like, oh, you try to kill me, you cannot kill me, I'll kill myself. Okay, so they don't allow anything else to kill your cell. If they feel like you are being threatened or if there's something that might kill the cell, what they do is they burst all by themselves. Okay, so these are going to just burst out, and when they burst out, they leave out certain toxic substances. Okay, so these sacs are full of acidic substances, and these acidic substances, when they are going to erupt out of your cell, okay, they are going to kill the cell. Such structures that are present inside your cell are called as lysosomes. Again, another new term that you should be knowing. Okay, just give me 1 second. There seems to be something on my screen that's not allowing me to write M. Yes. Now, the term lyso or lyse, L-Y-S-E. Okay, the term lyse in biology means breakdown. Okay, if you see the word lysis anywhere, L-Y-S-I-S, the term lysis means breakdown. So I'm going to write over here. Zomes means bodies. Okay, so the term zomes, S-O-M-E-S, means body. So wherever you see the term zome, you have to imagine that it means body. A body or a structure that helps in breakdown is lysosomes. Lysosomes are also called as the suicide bags of your cell. Okay, I'm going to write this over here. Right? So your lysosome is also called as the suicide bag of your cell. Till here, is everyone following to for whatever I'm speaking? Is this all making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Remember that when we go ahead, it is all of these points that are going to make more of the basis of the next chapter. Okay, when we start talking about tissues, this is something that has to be in place. So there is absolutely no problem for me if I have to spend a little more time on getting this part cleared. Okay, if you need, please sit back and tell me you need to do this again, and we will definitely go over it. So now we know there is a boundary, there's a cell, the cell has a boundary, it has a nucleus. Inside the nucleus, there are some other substances. Okay, if we needed to define those other substances, so we could say that if this is my nucleus, I'm just going to take this part, I'm going to add it here. Okay, so this entire thing in the middle is called as nucleolus. Nucleolus. Okay, nucleus is something which is present in nucleolus is something which is present inside the nucleus, and it contains all the DNA and your basically all the genetic material. Okay, it is just present inside a nucleus. So that is your nucleolus. Now there is a Golgi apparatus, there is a rough endoplasmic reticulum, there are lysosomes. Can you think of any other structures that may be needed inside your body? Yes, anything else that you think that, you know, these should be present inside my cell? You can look into the textbook if you have one. There's no problem with that. Yes, anything else you think should be there in the cell? Do you have a textbook with you? Have you got your textbooks? Yes, you have. Then can you look into the textbook and tell me what are the other structures that you might need? Sorry.
Ma'am, mitochondria.
Yes. Now, if you have an entire kingdom, there should be something that provides power to your cell, to your kingdom, right? So inside this particular kingdom, you are going to have this particular structure. It looks like it has an outer boundary, and then it also has an inner boundary. Okay. Now the thing is, the outer boundary is larger. Okay, so if I take one circle like this, and I take another circle like this, and unlike any normal person, instead of taking the smaller circle and trying to put it inside a bigger circle, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to take the larger circle and put it inside a smaller one. When I do that, I have to make turns and twists and bends on the larger circle so that it can fit inside. The same thing is done with your mitochondria. Okay, the outer circle or the outer boundary is made into a smaller structure, and the one that we are trying to fit in, okay, is large. So what we do is we add such kind of bends to this particular inner boundary. Okay, this provides as a larger surface area, and it also makes sure that whatever contents that are going to be in this particular mitochondria are going to be made and kept for a longer time and more efficiently. Now, what are these products or substances that we are talking about? So your Golgi apparatus basically is responsible for making the power in your cell. Okay, so these structures are basically called as the powerhouse of the cell. Why? Because all of the energy that your cell needs to function is coming from these mitochondria. So what I'm going to do is, because I have absolutely no space over there, I'm just going to copy this structure. I'm going to put here, and then I'm going to label it. Okay. When you draw your cell, please plan your diagrams very well. So I'm going to write over here, this is my mitochondria. Singular is going to be called as mitochondrion. Okay, drion, I-O-N, multiple mitochondria. Right? Now these mitochondria, yes?
Ma'am, do we have to write this in notebook?
You will be copying all of this later, because what I do is I send the recording and the pictures on the group. So what you are supposed to do is you're supposed to copy down all of these points one by one inside your notebook. Okay, right now just pay attention. Later you can write it down point wise in your notebook, and then every 15 days you submit the notebook in the form of PDF to me. Okay, I'll give you all those instructions, don't worry. So now what you see is there is a structure that is responsible. Okay, there is a structure that is responsible for making the power inside your cell. And that is the reason why your mitochondria is called as the powerhouse. So I put this powerhouse of the cell. Anything else that you think the cell might need now? Anything more? Again, you can look up and you can give me the answer. I do not mind as long as I get an answer. If you're saying something, dear, I cannot hear you. Your voice is very low. What other structures do you think there need to be?
Nuclear membrane.
Nuclear membrane. Yes. Now you remember here when we were looking at our fort, I drew these small green lines. These smaller green lines are the walls of your nucleus. Okay. So if I say that this is my nucleus here, this nucleus is again surrounded by a membrane. Okay. The only difference is that this membrane has ample amount of pores onto it. Why, you ask? The pores are present so that the substances from the nucleus can come into the cell and the substances from the cell can go inside the nucleus, so that there is a conversation happening within the cell and the nucleus. Okay. If your nucleus is to control your cell, it needs to have connections with the cell. The nuclear membrane is going to protect the insides of the nucleus from oozing out, but it is also going to have miniature pores on it so that the communication is not stopped. Okay. So this is your nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane. You need to learn all of these terms and their spellings very, very well. Okay. So there is a nucleus. Nucleus has another boundary of its own, which has permeability. That means it allows substances to move in and out, and those substances move in and out through the nuclear pores. So this particular part where there are pores present, they are called as nuclear pores. Now enough about the animal cells. Okay, let's just move to your plant cell for a second. Now if you look at the plant cell, this is your cell wall. The green structure that you see right now over here is your cell wall. But the thing is, it does not really have any green material in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into brown color. Okay. Now this particular part of your plant cell is unfortunately dead. Okay. It is a dead structure, which means that it is not going to allow any substance to come in or move out of your cell. Okay. It is just simply going to have a rigidity and it is going to just stay there as it is. Okay. Now this cell wall is basically what provides your cell with the rigidity that it requires. Then your plant cell is also going to have its own cytoplasm. Okay. And embedded within the cytoplasm, then there is going to be a very unique kind of structure that does exist in animal cell, but not as vastly as it does in your plant cell. Okay, this structure is called as a vacuole. Okay, and these vacuoles are basically like your tiffin boxes. Okay, your mama is going to make food and then that food is going to be stored into something. The mama for your plant is the leaf, and it makes the food and it stores the food inside these vacuoles. Okay, so these vacuoles are full of this granular structure, which is nothing but your starch. Okay, so we call these as starch containing vacuoles. These vacuoles are the reason that the nucleus of your plant cell is not centrally located. The vacuole pushes the cell nucleus onto one corner and it says, you may be the brain of the cell, but I occupy the central position in the plant cell, because storing food happens to be one of the major requirements of your plant cell. Because your plants do not move, once they make that food, they have to store it somewhere, because unlike us, they cannot go to Subway and order food when it's very scorching hot outside. They still have to make food and store it inside their body. And in order for them to do that, they have this modification in their body, which is they have developed vacuoles which are made up of these membranes. Okay, similar to what we have in here. The lysosomes were placed in a sort of a sac. These are also sort of a sac, and they have their own material inside them. Okay, along with this, towards the periphery of your plant cell, okay, there are these very characteristic green cells, or not cells, green structures. Okay, so these are going to be present all across your cell's outer periphery. So just give me 1 second. I'm just going to make this a little smaller, and I'm going to start putting these dots everywhere. Okay, now if you notice, I'm putting all of these dots at the outermost region onto my cell. The reason for that is because all of these structures, which are called as, do you know what these structures are before I say them?
Plastids.
Ma'am,
Plastids. Okay, we can call them plastids. And what type of plastids are these?
ma'am, chloroplasts.
Yes, these are chloroplasts. Okay, chloroplasts. Now, this chloroplast is basically, again, a term that can be broken down into two to understand it. The word chloro stands for color or chrome. Okay, so I'm gonna just put something like this so that you know that I'm talking about color. Okay, so the word chloro stands for color, and plast stands for a layer or a sac. Okay, so I'm going to say that this stands for a vacuole. Now, there are two types of vacuoles that are present right now. While we are on this topic, we might as well discuss them. Okay, so the part which is called as plastid basically means vacuoles. Okay, plastid is like a more fancier term for vacuoles. Okay, so you are going to have something called as plastids, and then there are going to be two types of plastids. One which is called as chloroplast, or the ones that have color, or chromoplast. Okay, so I'm just going to write over here. And other ones which are called as euplasts. Okay, there may be another term for this. Depending on the textbooks that you read, you may see achromoplast, eucoplast, whatever. There are multiple terms that are used because these do not exist as widely. But there are two types of plastids, ones that have colors or color containing structures, and the other one that do not have color containing structures. Okay, now these plastids, the ones that are present in the plant, are the chromoplast, and the chromoplast of the type chlorophyll are more abundant. Okay, where are these chlorophylls present? They are present inside the chloroplast. Please understand this part now. Okay, there are vacuoles. So I'm going to show this to you in an easier way. Okay, I have, just give me 1 second. Okay, I have a bag here with me. Okay, this is just a normal bag. I can have another copy of this bag. If I put something that has a color to it, this becomes my chromoplast, right? Right now I have placed something that has color to it. Now this something which is having a color also has another boundary to it. Can you see that there's another boundary to it? And then inside this boundary, some brown structure is present. This bag is a plastid. The other bag that you see is a chromoplast, and what it contains inside, ironically right now, is a plant material. Okay, what it contains inside is chlorophyll pigment. The plant has green color. Okay, most of the plants have green color because of the presence of the pigment chlorophyll. There are other colors also present. So you may have seen some plants which have purple color. For example, the Tradescantia, which is I'm going to write over here, Tradescantia. Okay, your Tradescantia is a show plant which has purple leaves. and just like a very thick fleshy leaf. Okay, so that is going to have purple pigments. You may have seen your tomatoes and you may have seen your carrots which have a different color. That is going to be because of a different pigment. You may have seen some plants that have red leaves, again a different pigment, not chlorophyll. So there are other pigments also. All of these pigments do help in the process of photosynthesis. It's just that green color is more effective in carrying out the process of photosynthesis. Therefore, it is more abundant in plant and it is going to be present only onto the surface of your plant cell. Okay, but inside the cell wall, not outside the cell wall. Inside the cell wall, right inside that cell membrane, your chloroplast is going to be present. This is making sense. Your chloroplast helps in the process of photosynthesis, which is making of food using sunlight. Everyone is following me till here. Anyone who till this point thinks that nothing made sense? Yes?
No, ma'am.
Nothing made sense.
Oh, no, ma'am, not like that.
It made sense. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Anyone who feels like this 1 hour was just like I did not understand anything. Was there anyone who felt they understood 90% of what I said? You may have not understood 190%. If people understood 90%, can you raise your hand up? Virtually, physically, however. So there's an option on Zoom where you can go click and it says hands up or thumbs up, whatever. Just some kind of reaction if you understood what I was trying to say. Yes, only one person has understood it. That was really, really sad. All right. Okay, great, great, great. So now if we say that this is what is happening inside your cells, this is basically some of the basics that we have covered today. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this recording with you. Okay, along with the recording, I will also share this picture and the small animation that we create. Your job till we meet for our next class, which usually happens after a week. Okay, I do not take classes twice a week. I usually take only one class per week, which means that you might be seeing me next time on the next Wednesday. So that gives you about 6 days of time on your hand. All you gotta do is take a book, draw this thing. It doesn't have to be as bad as mine. You can obviously try to make a better picture. Okay, or you can simply take a picture online from the net, just paste it onto your notes, however, whatever you feel comfortable. I prefer people drawing it. You don't want to draw it, no pressure. Okay, you might have to draw it in the exam, so be prepared for that. You take this picture for every organ and for every organelle. Okay, organ is going to come next chapter. Right now, for every organelle, you're going to write its name and its functions right underneath that. How would you go about doing that? So let me just save this picture and tell you how I need your book to look like. So this is your cell. You're going to take nucleus. You're going to make a box. You're going to write nucleus and its function. You're going to take another structure, make a box, writes its functions. Okay. Next box, next structure, next function. This is what you are going to do. Take a bigger page, do all of this, keep your book completed. While you're doing this, you may come across some points that you did not know. That is an indication that you did not understand that part. You can post it on your classroom saying that you spoke about this, but I did not understand. Okay, so when we meet for our next class, what you can do is we can just go over this entire part. I could explain it to you and you could write it in your notebook. You are going to write the date on which you start doing this work, and you're going to take a picture, you're going to scan it, and you're going to send it to me. You can put it on the group or you can put it to me personally so that I can grade it. I can tell you what are the correct things you've written, what are the wrong things you've written, and that would be all. If I do not get submissions from you, I will not be clearing your doubts in the next class. You give me your submission, I help you clear your doubts. Simple give and take relation. You give me work, I give you your answers. Works? Very, very, very straightforward, very simple funda. Okay, so you get 1 week to do that, and I get about 5 minutes to answer your doubts. So I think it's just fair that you just note down everything and just put it across to me. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
Can you
darling.
explain this part again? The circle, the thing you've drawn on the screen.
Yes,
I
so
was
you're
not
just
having
going to
network
make a
problems.
diagram, just going to make a diagram, okay? And then you're going to point at the structure, write its name here, and what that structure does. Like, for example, if I make this, just let me take out my pencil. Okay, if I make
Okay,
this,
ma'am. Yeah.
right, you got it? So if this is my
Yes, ma'am.
nucleus, I'm going to write nucleus, and I'm going to write few points about nucleus, and that would be it. You can, if you are more of an aesthetic person, you like your book to look better, whatever color you used for your nucleus, use the same color to write this. Makes just little bit more sorted. If you're not that person, if you're messy like me, just go with whatever color you have. Just make sure that you color code your work in some or the other way. This is literally all that you have to do for 6 long days. Even if you take two structures every day, you would be done in 4 days. Okay, so this
Okay,
is what
ma'am.
you need to do, and this is where I stop sharing my screen. All right, and I will be sharing this entire recording with you, and I will be sharing the pictures, and I will see you for your next class. This makes sense? If you have understood,
ma'am.
you can leave the meeting. You did not understand, you want to ask me something when you don't want to be embarrassed by your classmates, stay back for 2 minutes, ask me, then you can do. People who
Thank you,
understood,
ma'am.
oh, bye-bye, tata, sayonara.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
ma'am, can you explain about the submission of the notebook?
Yes, so for the notebook, you have to make a 200 pages notebook. Choose any kind of book you want, and just put all of this down. Write date, write biology, chapter name, and you'll just start copying all of this. I will also share actual aesthetic notes with you so that you can take help of those also and write it down. Okay, I write very clear instructions and I'll send them to you. So for now, I just need to know if you've understood what I spoke. For keeping the notebook and everything, I'll give you clear instructions in the group. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I understood.
All right. So this would be it. Shreya, Tanvi, anything that you want to talk about, dear? You understood everything? Sanskriti, anything you want to talk? No? So this